practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you're part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion, but to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, and to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are, subhanAllah, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. This is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings, become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you're entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, with the guidance of his father God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now that this meeting has been opened according to the triune acts, Acts 1, 2, and 3 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, we say Islam, Islam, Islamism. Providence of Allah is ever all his works. He ruleth and directed with infinite wisdom, yet instituted laws for the government of the world, yet wonderfully varied them in all beings, and each by his nature conformeth to his will. Shemotepu Moorish King. Peace and love.
Islam, Islam, Islam. I am Dr. Denver. I am Divine Minister Dr. Diane Carter Bay, my ancient committee and her name being Dr. Dendra Ani Okurta Bay. First, let me rise and give praises to our great God Allah, and give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to Act 1. I give honors to our National Assistant Grand Chief for opening us up according to law. And at this time, I will be reading our chapter of the week, chapter 6, the life and works of Yehoshua at the age of 10 years. The great feast of Jews was on, and Joseph, Mary, and their son, and many of their kin went to Jerusalem. The child was 10 years old, and Yehoshua watched the butchers kill the lambs and birds and burned them on the altar in the name of Allah. His tender heart was shocked at this display of cruelty. He asked the servant priest, "What is the purpose of this slaughter of the beasts and birds? Why do you burn their flesh before Allah?" The priest replied, "This is our sacrifice for sin. Allah has commanded us to do these things and said that in sacrifice all our sins are blotted out." And Yehoshua said, "Will you be kind enough to tell when Allah proclaimed that sins are blotted out by sacrifice of any kind? Did not David say that Allah requires not a sacrifice for sin?" that it is sin itself to bring before his face burnt offerings of sin? Did not Isaiah say the same? The priest replied, my child, you are beside yourself. You Do you know more about the law of Allah than all of Israel? This is no place for boys to show their wit. Mute your phone, family. If you haven't muted your phone, please mute your phone. But Yehoshua heeded not to his taunts. He went at once to Haliah and said to him, Rabboni, I would like to talk with you. I am disturbed about this service. I thought the temple was the house of Allah, where love and kindness. Muted. Do you not lambs, the pleading of those doves that men are killing over there? Do you not smell the awful stench of burning flesh? Can you be kind and just and still be filled with cruelty? And Allah that takes delight in burning flesh and blood is not a law of love. He is not my father. I want to find the Allah of love. And you, my master, you are wise, and surely you can tell me where to find the Allah of love. But Haliah could not give an answer to the child. His heart was stirred with sympathy. He called the child to him. He laid his hand upon his head and wept. He said, there is an Allah of love, and you shall come with me, and hand in hand we will go and find Allah of love. And Yehoshua said, why need we go? I thought Allah was everywhere. Can we not purify our hearts and drive out cruelty and every wicked thought and make within a temple where Allah of love can dwell? The master of the great courts felt as though he was himself a child, and that before him stood the master of all the law. He said within himself, this child is surely a prophet sent of Allah. Then Haliah sought the parents of the child and asked that Yehoshua might abide with him and learn the precepts of the laws and all the lessons of the temple. His parents gave consent, and Yehoshua did abide in the temple every day. And every day the master learned from Yehoshua many lessons of higher life. And the child remained in the temple of Haliah for a year, and then returned to his home in Nazareth. And there he walked with Joseph as a carpenter. Islam, Islam, Islam. Islam, Islam, Islam. Family, again, I am Dr. Dinger Anit Akurtabe, and today is August the 10th, 2024. We give honors to Dr. Dinger Anit Akurtabe for reading our chapter of the week and taking registration. We give honors to our National Sister Grand Sheik for opening us up according to law. Again, we want to welcome everyone to our Moorish Perspective class sponsored by our Moorish American government. Our host for tonight's class is our National Sister Grand Sheik, Dr. Sadu Amiti El Maheja Sepsuel. His subject for tonight is coming from chapter 6, ayah 7. My child, you are beside yourself. Do you know more about the law of Allah than all of Israel? This is no place for boys to show their wit. Also, Moors, don't forget to check your emails for the link as we will be live. And at this time, we want to call for our host for tonight, our National Sister Grand Sheik, Dr. Sadu Amiti El Maheja Sepsuel. Are you got, ma'am? Unmuted.
Islam, can you hear me, Sister Dinger?
Islam, I can hear you well.
Yes, gratitude. Islamism without the schism. Islam, Islam, Islam. Well, let us rise upon the seven within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, in honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is, pardon self, Moorish kin. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere. And therefore, honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything. And I do mean everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you to another Moorish Perspectives. I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imanaya Mohadi Shabazel. And my ancient Comedian high name being the same as Dr. Shedawul Mintiel Moheji Shepsuel. And we have a grand drawing to bring forth to you, Moorish kin. And this is special drawing, most definitely a most powerful measure to be brought forth from our Father's treasures. Praise be to Allah, Islamism without the schism. And we encourage that our family have their paper and their pen on handy, and be ready to participate. Islam. Can y'all hear me on the Islam? Can y'all hear me, Moorish kin? Give me 1 second. Okay, Islam. Can y'all hear me on the live stream, family? Grand Secretary of State, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you now.
Oh,
Gratitude.
okay. Gratitude. Pardon self. You know Rome ain't built nothing to last. All right. So yeah, we want to again welcome our family to another Moorish Perspectives. As I was stating, I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Mohadi Shabazel. And my ancient Comedian high name being the same as Dr. Shedawal Mintiel Mohed Shepsuel. And we have a powerful drawing to bring on the manifest this morning. Tonight, pardon self. We want to have a grand draw to bring to our family in regards to dealing with Yehoshua, and his life works at the age of 10. And our subject matter is, my child, you are beside yourself. Do you know more about the law of Allah than all of Israel? This is no place for boys to show their wit. This is what we are told, and we always have been told here in the West when we were coming up, and some of our people probably use this themselves when they see the young seed getting in a zone to where they feel like that young seed is a little beyond their place. They say, stay in a child's place. This is the often uh, statement that's being made to the young seeds that's coming up. Stay in a child's place. Now, some people in this new era in time may feel like in the West that a child has to be in a certain place, and it's certain thing that children don't know because they don't have certain experiences. But we see where there are children doing phenomenal things right now. We can show you what children can get in there and do chores. They can wash the dishes. At 2 years old, they can do mathematics, algebraic equations at 2 years old. Some people will call these prodigies. And they can do all types of things. I'm pretty sure y'all done seen some of the videos that went viral out there. This ain't nothing somebody told us or we heard about. We can literally see these things going on. So it should be nothing to know that Yehoshua at the age of 10 years old would be able to demonstrate what he was able to demonstrate. In fact, at 7 years old, he had already memorized, a lot of the teachings. We know this is possible because we are told he memorized the Vedas, the books of the Psalms, and he memorized all of these things. Yehoshua, the one who people call Jesus or Isa, memorized these things. And we know this is possible because if we go even into the Islamic world, a lot of what they call the Hafiz, those who memorize the Quran, they are very young, 6 and 7 years old. And they memorize the whole Quran and become Hafiz before they are old enough to learn everything it is to know about what we call the laws of grammar. So that in and of itself is a very powerful demonstration, family. So we know these things are possible. So when we look at the statement that is being made here as it relates to our subject title, the one that you see flowing across the bottom of the screen here, the priest replied, my child, this was the priest saying, my child, you are beside yourself. Do you know more about the law of Allah than all of Israel? Now, we know it says this is no place for boys to show their wit. Now, we know that in our teaching, we actually taught, and you'll hear us say, out of the mouth of babies come wisdom. Even in the Piscean records, it makes reference to this when it talks about the wisdom being hid since the foundation of the world, but the babies are able to come forth, and display or exemplify this special wisdom. So in this case, age, as we look at age, dealing with time periods of duration on how long we've been here, becomes nothing more than a numerical statement, so to speak. But when it comes to who the great God Allah would like to reveal his truth to, none of us have a monopoly over that. Even in the Quran, it alludes to Yehoshua being, a young seed, and what he was destined for. We are told in the Piscean records that our beloved brother Yehoshua, by the age of 12, had been taken into Kemet, and then he didn't show himself until after 18 years, as 33 years of age, he began his ministry. But we know, according to our teaching, which we have the 18 missing years, that's what the circle 7 is, that's what it consists of. We see where Yehoshua was able to go. And there are actual extra Quranic texts, so to speak, an extra biblical text outside, of the circle 7, outside of the Piscean records, that talks about works of Yehoshua. I have some in my book called The Other Bible. The Other Bible is probably a little bigger than the regular Bible, and these are not all of the books. These are pieces of some of the other texts that had been cast aside, of the canon that had been chosen by the Roman Catholic Church. I have the Infancy Gospels of Christ, the Gospel of Thomas, which a lot of these things are written in what we call Hikapta, or the Coptic language. I also have, Nag Hammadi texts, Dead Sea Scrolls, and, different books that tell us certain things. The book of Joseph, the book of Enoch, the book of Abraham, the book of Adam and Eve. We got a whole bunch of it over here. But, we had the Gospel of Barnabas, but nevertheless, there's more to be added on to this story than what meets the eyes and the ears of those who are listening and who are seeing in this era and time. I want to encourage our family to get them likes up, and share this particular video so that our people can get it, so that we can touch the algorithms with this special drawing. So nevertheless, Yehoshua, we have the record of what he was demonstrating during those 18 so-called missing years. They're no longer missing to us. So if you would like to know about what took place in the life of our brother Yehoshua, Yeshua, get you a copy of the Circle 7. Prophet Noble Drew Ali told us that these lessons are for those who love our brother Yehoshua, or Jesus, as you call him, or Isa. These lessons have been held back by the Muslims of India, Palestine, Egypt, Europe, all over the place, So we have these teachings here. So, yet the priesthood had the same mentality. My child, you beside yourself. In other words, stay in a child place. Do you know more about the law of Allah than all of Israel? How you going to tell us about the law of statutes in Israel? This is no place for boys to show their wit. You ain't got no business talking back to these priests like this here. What's wrong with you, Yehoshua? That's how they was coming at him now. And even in this era and time, we can have those who may be of a little age. You can be 26 years old, but if you're teaching men 40 and 50, or you're 40 teaching men 50 and 60, and they got an ego about themselves, they'll look at you the same way. And you older than what Yehoshua was. You beside yourself. How you going to teach me something? I've been here 60, 70 years. I've been here 20, 30 years before you were born. What you going to teach me? We give honors to our Grand National Chairman. Being the grand man that he is, he knew that even adepts can come at the age of 7. The earliest age mentioned in our Holy Quran. You can see him with the young adepts sitting with him when he was speaking to the mayor, when he was sitting in the chair, I think it was, before Mayor Schaefer in Baltimore. He had the young Moorish adepts right there with him, the young seeds, his seeds, right on the manifest. You see? But you have those who have a religious mindset, they believe that even when it comes to dealing with this truth, you have to been here for 30, 40 years for you can get up here and speak and talk about something. No, the prophet said it's going to be the young Moors that was going to come in and sit the old Moors down and carry out his works. So everybody want to follow the prophet until his teachings, begin to say things that are contrary to what they trying to push in their doctrine. Because just because every Moor say Moorish American don't mean they necessarily pushing, the concept of being Moorish American. Let's just be real about it. So, nevertheless, we learned that the teaching we got to know that a Muslim is made by the great God Allah. Yeah, your mother and father may have made the physical part of you, but that part of you in which your mother and father couldn't give you, that soul and that spirit, this is where you come into the aspect of understanding what a Muslim is truly made and really who made you. You see, and if you think that the walls are more honorable than the house, owner, the master themselves, then you burn up from the start. Is not the master of the house more honorable than its walls? So the master of this house represents spirit man, the spirit of the Moorish American National, MAN. The master of this house represents divinity, deific tie, deific will. This is the great God in us. And we went over this in our most recent Moorish perspectives when we was talking about the angels being told to prostrate before the man and not referring to the flesh outside of man, but referring to all of that which is within man himself. So looking at it from this standpoint, it's the creator, the supreme reality that makes the Muslim. Not in the context of Muslim, where you just submitting to the will. The Muslim is the will of the great God. See, this is how you transcend religiosity, and spookism. We don't teach that over here. We teach that man is one with the great God through deific tie. And what we call deific tie and deific will also brings us into the realm of what we call the God code. And nobody can debunk the God code because the God code is present even in the DNA of atheists. When you get into the AGT and the GC, the AP and the T, the G and the C, all these measures that deal with what we call DNA makeup are nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, and we look at carbon, we go into the mathematical properties of this number, and then the number coincides with the name of the supreme reality as either Yah, He, Wav, He, or the combination that deals with the carbon being added, instead of two H's, whereas the carbon actually replaces the last H in Yod, He, Wav, He, or the YHWH, and it becomes G, and the G, actually brings us into the realm of God eternal within the body. That's in the DNA. So that goes beyond the flesh. So if we're dealing with God eternal within the body, then surely this is present throughout every age span that we can think of, from 0 to up to where we at right now. So that degree of Muslim being the will of the great God was already present in us before we even grew to become who we are now. See, that's what we haven't been taught. So when we see this young seed that the priests are asking, are you beside yourself at the age of 10, that you know more about the law of God, Allah, than all of Israel? This is no place for boys to show their wit. So one may be a boy outwardly, and one may be a full-grown man inwardly. When it comes to being a God man on a spiritual level, you see what I'm saying? So if you can see it from this aspect here, this is why we might see some young seeds and say, man, that young one got an old soul. And the old soul has nothing to do with them being old on the physical. It has everything to do with the ancient presence that we feel. This is why we say we are the return of the ancient ones. So we can feel an ancient presence in not only the young boys that are amongst our people, but the young girls as well. You know, they have the wisdom of the ancestors in them. You can see it in them from a very early stage, and we know that they are destined for greatness. Among the seeds that we have, a lot of them are destined for greatness. This just come through our DNA naturally. You see, this ain't no spookism or none of that. So this is why we have to be present and have the knowledge, wisdom, and the understanding to cultivate them in that wisdom so they do not depart from what is already in their essence. They don't have to be a prodigal son to return home. They don't have to be a prodigal daughter to return home because they remain, you know, where they were actually brought forth. All we have to do is teach them. There was a time in ancient Kemet when ones were born under certain constellational influences, are just born in a particular time period, that they would already be acknowledged as to, you know, what their purpose would be. And this would be based upon them being put under the tutelage of the spirit of the ancestor, you know, that they would basically be sat before. And we got this in certain information and certain teachings among the adepts. So if they placed a goddess before, you know, the monolithic statue, so to speak, of all set, you know, then this would be the influence that that particular young god woman would be taught on. Het Heru, Hathor. It could have been any Seshat, any one of the goddesses that, you know, pretty much we could see that one would move, you know, in regards to being placed in front of, you know, then ones would know, you know, and actually it said in certain doctrine that they would begin to speak, you know, with the wisdom of the ancient ones, like the actual ancestor would begin to utilize them as a vessel after they did certain rites and ceremony. There was initiation that took place, you know, and these young seeds would come forth to reintroduce the world to that wisdom. And it's the same thing when we deal with Yehoshua in this particular time. A lot of people don't even know, even the name Yeshua, Yissa, is actually in root coming from an Egyptian word. A lot of our people don't even know that. You know, yes, the word Isa, Yeshua, you know, Jesus, Isa, you know, this word Isa, you know, actually comes from Kemet. So the name is not Hebrew, it's actually Egyptian. So the Egyptian variation is a derivative of the ancient Kemetian aspect. You see? And that's a powerful demonstration, family. That's a very powerful demonstration. That's something to be thought upon. So we know that Yehoshua had already learned the laws of Israel, you know, at least recorded them in memory. So why wouldn't Yehoshua be able to demonstrate those particular measures? Why wouldn't Yehoshua be able to demonstrate those measures? You see, one was taught also the teaching of the Nazarites, you know, so this would definitely be one that it has been qualified, more than qualified, to actually show their wit, to show what it is that they have learned, you know, from their father and their mother. In fact, the mother is the first teacher. So what would be given to the young seed is what we would call mother's wit. So if they were bringing that forth, then you definitely got to honor the divine goddess, which is a symbol of the divine creed that the young seed will be manifested. So we seen previously how Yehoshua's truth was referred to as a wand, and how one was able to use that wand, which we look at as a scimitar, to be able to touch the sands, of life, so to speak, and make the valley of a dry and dead bones live again with this consciousness. So if Yehoshua was able to do that at the age of 7, then of course at the age of 10, according to what we have, surely he would have a right to speak as a young God man. They got them now out there right now. They got young seeds. They put them up there, on the pulpit, the minbar, in the synagogue, the temples, and they just be talking. So we know it's possible. But there is a thing to where sometimes men become complex and they feel threatened when they see a young seed coming up that knows a little bit more than they think they should know. And I give praise be to the great God, Allah, that I have had a lot of elders that have put me on the front line at an early age. But we have those who feel threatened, by this. And sometimes they would try to suppress what it is that is in the young seed. And this is one of the reasons why there's a disconnect between the youth and those, who feel like they too grown to learn. Yes, there is a disconnect between the young, the same ones that Prophet Noble Drew Ali say he came from, because he said he came for the young and not yet born. He came for the 3rd and 4th generation. There's a reason why Prophet Noble Drew Ali said this. He didn't say, I came for the present generation during my era in time. He said, I came for the young and not yet born. Again, remember he said that there was going to be some new Moors that was going to come in, young Moors, that was going to sit you old Moors down in the back of the room, and they was going to enforce and carry out his law. So we can see that Prophet Noble Drew Ali was not of this opinion, of asking, did the young seed know about the law of Allah? The Prophet is telling you that these young seeds, they ain't going to just know the law, but they going to see what's going on, and they going to carry out the law and sit some of the old Moors down. So you can never see Prophet Noble Drew Ali saying, my child, you are beside yourself. Do you know more about, what it is that I know about the Circle 7? And all of this. This is the problem. When we're dealing with this, we're dealing with an egotistical sophomania. Look up what sopho and monomania is. It has to do with either an individual or individuals that believe that all that they have is what it is, and it can't be nothing more beyond that in which they know, because they know what they was taught by their teacher. So you can't tell them nothing. And this can be grown men amongst grown men, and they don't want to hear it. Remember now, somebody can bring you some information you never had or never heard. No, you ain't never heard of it, and you are rejected and rebel against it because you were never taught that. Just because you didn't hear it, brothers, don't mean that it don't exist or you want to question it. Only when it comes to each other now, because the European can come to you. You can be any age, young or old. And for some reason, most of our people eat it up. So this shows you the mental slavery that our people are still under. This is what is called the Willie Lynch theory. And a lot of people like, oh, yeah, they say that wasn't a real. No. Oh, yeah, it's real. Even if somebody made the concept of Willie Lynch up, we know that dynamic that's spoken of in the Willie Lynch doctrine exists among our people. The old is against the young is against the old. The dark is against the dark skin, the light skin is against the dark skin. Plantation status comes into play. So the house nigger is against the field nigger. You see, same type of demonstration. So it's real. Even if you think that it was wrote in the modern time, the Willie Lynch concept and the curse of it is real when it comes to our people. Because we see the young against the old. We see the old against the young. We see the light skinned against the light skin, the dark skin, and dark skinned against the old skin. We see the plantation status of the house Negro and the field Negro in effect. So don't let nobody dampen your insight and tell you that that concept don't exist. It's just a theory. That's somebody with a slave mentality, and they always trying to make excuses for massa, in his work. Let's stop playing with ourselves. Let's stop it with the intellectual masturbation. It may make you feel good, but you can't get no life from it. You see? So when we get down into that special drawing, family, if we understand what is being stated, in other words, we got to be willing to listen to the seeds. Even outside of dealing with this concept of what we call religious doctrine, you still got to be willing to listen to the seeds because they got something to say. They trying to say something. And when you don't want to listen to them, then they begin to condemn you for you being ignorant, in your elderly cocoon, so to speak, and they don't want to hear nothing you got to say. And then you got babies out here that have become millionaires. You've been living 6-7 decades longer than they have and still ain't been able to do what it is that they've been doing out here. And all of them ain't doing it from selling no drugs. All of them ain't doing it from doing things that's illegal. Some of them are literally passing up those who have been here on the manifest and became millionaires. And this is in the droves. Not that money means anything. You understand? So how you going to be able to tell them something? See, the table become turned. Because that's how they be looking at you. If you ain't talking about money, you ain't talking about nothing, old man. If you ain't talking about money, you ain't talking about nothing, old woman. This is how they looking at it. What can you tell me? Look at you. I'm 23, 24 years old. I got a mansion. I got 3, 4, 5 Rolls Royce, Lamborghinis. You understand? Not saying that that's what it's about. I'm just telling you what a mentality is going. So the tables can be turned. Oh, yeah. And then people ask you, well, what you doing? Well, what it is that you got. And it's a bad situation in this era in time because that's something to compete with. That's something for us to have to compete with. Even though we ain't dealing with competition, I'm telling you, when you got those who are out here that are well off and they feel like they ain't got a worry in the world, they enjoying their best life at an early age. They didn't have to wait for a retirement plan to sit down and say, let the peace be still. You understand me? So here you go trying to tell them something. So no, you have to actually reshape your methodology. You have to reshape your thought pattern on the approach that you would have to come forth now. Because we're not living in the time of Yehoshua 2,000 years ago. Or Jesus of 2,000 years ago. Yeshua of 2,000 years ago. Isa of 2,000 years. Same individual. We're not living in the years of Muhammad of 1,400 years ago. We're not living in the time of Buddha, Confucius, or Krishna. We're living in a new era in time now. And what would seem to be extraordinary claims to them would definitely have to be extraordinary evidence to back whatever it is that you saying you stand upon. So we dealing with a show me generation. The prophet talked about a show me state, but we dealing with Everybody must be born in Missouri now, because everybody gonna question whatever it is that you have to bring to them. And if you're not fortified, if you can't prove what it seems to be as a theory to be true, then you will be an island unto yourself. You will be one that is out in the wilderness, a voice crying out in the wilderness, and nobody, can really hear you. Because, in the wilderness or an oasis, you can go miles and for miles, and not find the people, hundreds of miles before you find a village where there's someone that you can lodge with, or so to speak, or stay with and be able to communicate with. We like to use practicality when we get up into this information, family. We want you to be able to walk with us. We're not trying to romanticize your mind, with wayward doctrine and nothing that you can't use. It is our obligation and our duty to make sure that you can make these lessons applicable to yourself. But you can't have a lazy mindset. You can't have a mindset where you are waiting for someone to do for you intellectually that in which you can do for yourself. So our duty is to give the keys to you. But it's your duty to have the pride and the know-how to utilize the keys to unlock your consciousness. See, we can give it to you all day. We can teach it to you. We can talk to you. We can preach it to you all day. But it is not our duty to make you understand whatever it is. That's your duty. Understanding comes as a result of a two-way street. We call it reciprocal help and mutual obligation. So you have to reciprocate what has been demonstrated to you by someone else. If I give you an instruction manual and I tell you, here's this apparatus here, whatever it may be a car, it can be a lawnmower, it can be anything, a phone. If I give you the apparatus that gives you the knowledge to be able to operate that demonstration, and you choose not to use the instruction manual, and you run into some problems along the way, whose fault is that? Is it my fault? Because I did my job by giving you the manual. The European get out of this by saying, well, the ignorance of the law is no excuse. And most of our people like to argue over things that they don't even have a knowledge of. Even the Quran say that. It's one thing to argue, over something, but another thing to argue when you don't even have knowledge of the thing. And then Allah say, well, do you have any sense? So this is the ego that believe that it cannot be taught, because technically all of us are children of the great God Allah. All of us are children when it comes to dealing with this wisdom. And if you believe that you are too grown to learn and that you are beyond being a child of the supreme reality of the great God, then you already burn up from the start. See, the concept of even saying, who is this one to come up here to show their wit? That already shows a form of jealousy. Who he think he is. That's basically that's how you translate that. And we have some people like that. Like I said, with people that are of age. Remember, Yehoshua was 10 years old, so people think it's all right for them to even say that. Yeah, that's right. He need to sit his little behind down somewhere. Who we think he is coming up in here? But some people do this, like I said, with people of age. Who he think he is to tell me? I was taught by Grand Poobah Shaka Ramaku. He was an adept teacher. He was da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ain't nobody here to listen to what you talking about. This is the mentality. We're going beyond just a young seed of 10 years old and dealing with grown people. So it really don't matter which age that one is when you're dealing with one that has a lofty ego, right? When one has an ego that is out of control, it wouldn't matter whether Yehoshua was 10 years old or 33, because the ego would never accept that which it feel it is greater than. This is the nature of egotism, or egoisms, or ego schisms. That's the nature of the ego, to be in denial. It don't matter the source of the information. It don't matter who it's coming from, male or female. That lofty ego is going to find a reason to buck and rebel, period. Now ask me, am I lying? We already know it because we done ran into this. There's a certain ego that come with somebody that think that they are your employer and you are the employee. Huh? There's a certain ego that come with somebody, that think that they are the trainer and you are the trainee. There's a certain ego that come in all of these realms, and it has to do with every realm of profession that you can think of. A master plumber, would think that if they was dealing with a journeyman, a carpenter and so forth and so on, the master in this era and time has been taught to have an ego. Even in the field that I demonstrate, dealing with paint. And I refer to it as the painter's ego. Because every painter think that they got it going on and their way is the only way. But I took the concept of the brother, how they used to say, Jeet Kune Do, the art of fighting without fighting. And he took all the styles. Bruce Lee took every style and he brought them together and made up what he called Jeet Kune Do. And I would make a joke with him. I say, well, I took all the styles of every painter that I learned from him and I call it Cheat Kune Do. Just joking, being humorous, because there's a lot of, kicking the bobo that go on in that particular field. But, it's an ego all over the place, family. And a lot of times, some of these people can all be good in a particular field or profession. But it's always somebody that know a little more than what you think you know. And if you are not humble enough or have a mind willful enough to be able to accept that, then there will always be a conflict, a contrast, means of adjustment between the learner and the teacher, or the teacher and the learner, or the learned and those who feel like they already learned. So this thing goes beyond, again, just looking at Yehoshua being beside himself, and knowing the law of the great God. Because instinctively, within each and every one of us, we know who the creator is when we come forth from the womb. We have to grow a little bit into the consciousness of everything, but the nature of right and wrong has been placed within us. The apparatus of discrimination. That's why even though a baby may not be able to fully talk, if you tell them stop, they end up putting this in their mindset and they'll stop. You see? So yeah, this is a powerful demonstration, family. So we have to stop underestimating the youth, because we still babies too. We still learning too. Remember, the wisdom comes from the mouth of the babes. And if you're not wise enough to realize that there's wisdom still to be learned, then you can't become truly wise. Because wisdom speaks from out of the highest plane of spirit life. It doesn't come, from how old you are on the plane of things made manifest. It's how old your soul is. It's how conscious or how aware you are as it relates to dealing with your divinity. That's where wisdom comes from. This is where life itself becomes a science to you. And this is how we must live our lives. There's a science to the way that we sleep. There's a science to the way that we eat. What am I referring to? Well, what does this have to do with what we talking about? Well, learning something that you don't know. We learned that our circadian rhythm in sleeping has an effect over our overall health. That's science. We understand the way that we eat, what it is that we bring into our bodies will determine the longevity or premature demise if we're not careful. So we learn what it is that we take into the body instead of scarfing things down and just eating anything and eating any type of way. There's a time that we should grow into the wisdom that no, there's a science to eating, that I should eat this at this time because it's going to bring about this effect. I shouldn't gulp a whole glass of water down just because it's cold and good. But I should sip on that water, to bring about a trickle effect, in order to aid and assist the system. You see, I should take this supplement at this time. I should become familiar with peptide therapy. See, all of this is science in life. And then we understand, well, I'm not here to feed my belly. I'm here to feed my cells. And therefore cause cellular respiration to take place. In other words, to keep that process going. Because cellular respiration is different from what we call active breathing, conscious breathing. Do you know that your cells will naturally breathe and respirate on their own if you are feeding them properly? And that has nothing to do with your physical breathing per se. This is cellular respiration. This cellular respiration is linked to mitochondrial generation. So you feed the cells. You reconstruct the peptide chains. And the body begins to function accordingly. You see? And it's the same thing when we go deeper into the essence of any other science as it relates to even knowing the self and knowing our consciousness, knowing how the conscious works, knowing how to meditate. Knowing about what we call cymatics and cymatic frequency, and how frequency and vibration also has an effect on the cellular process. When you understand all of these sciences and the harmonics on how they work together harmonically, then you are too still dealing with the science of life. This is what we are dealing with now, uniting of the divinity of the matter, the uniting of divinity and matter as it states in our Moorish Holy Quran. This is Moorish science. To understand that Moorish means that you are more than a mere man, brothers. You are more than a mere woman, sisters. More-ish. More God and God woman than you are mere men and women. That's what we call Moorish science. And got nothing to deal with spookism, but has everything to do with practicality and being able to make this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding applicable to your condition. It don't get no plainer than the truth. You see? So once you are able to get in the mindset of understanding that you have the ability to change your condition, we all do, irregardless to how it may look. Because it can look real ugly sometimes. Trust me, I know. And all of us going to have them times where we're going to be tried and tested. But this gives you the means to be able to unsheath that scimitar of consciousness and wield that scimitar of consciousness in defense of your existence. So we talk about being able to vibrate the ethers. When you know better, you do better. So we know that our young brother Yehoshua had to know better at the age of 10, out here showing his wits, demonstrating the law. I mean, you would think that somebody would love that. We want the youth to basically be out here and know something about being able to be in the truth. Because look at the ones that's out here now in our era, in our new time. Just as you have some that have grown into a lot of wisdom, they've been able to do things great that some of us couldn't do in old age. We also got a portion, that's very destructive. And even they have some sort of ego, an ego where they have a fear of taking what they call an L or a loss. When we know that is the sacrifices that are made and the losses and the gains that come about along the way that actually make us stronger. That's what really makes us who we are. It's not what you can do when you have all of the resources available to make things happen. It's what you're able to do when you don't see the resources and the things that are on the manifest to make things happen. And your attitude in that particular event. So this is a powerful measure, family, when we're able to look at things this way and see it for what it really is as opposed to what we would like it to be. So ask yourself, how much more do you know about the law? What is it that you know about your law? How many times you have come into contact with somebody that thought, that you was trying to exercise your wits against them? Because when you know the truth, family, and you are conscious and you are knowledgeable, I mean, just by very virtue of somebody knowing you know what you know, they look at you as a threat. I had people that I have been in their presence and I haven't even tried to attempt to go into a measure of talking to them as you see me speaking now, or give them no insight or never even conversate with them because I know that they're not on the level to have a certain conversation or speak in a certain manner. Not judging one, but we know who we in the midst of when we look at people. We better have the wisdom to know who we talking to. If we don't, but as soon as you say something to them, they think you trying to tell them something. Man, why you trying to preach to me? They get on the defense. Y'all know what I'm talking about. All you got to do is tell them, hey man, you can eat this right here to stop this form of ailment and taking place. Man, you think you know everything, bro. You think I'm ignorant or something? I already know about that. What are you talking about? I'm already in the knowing of that. Y'all know what I'm talking about, family. You can't tell them nothing. And they wonder why it is that they find themselves in hellacious conditions, and always receiving hellacious results. And then when it get real hard, where they know that it's out of their control, then they want to come to you and they want you to bear their burden. They want you to be their Yehoshua all of a sudden. They want you to be their Jesus all of a sudden. They want you to be their Yehoshua, yo. They want you to be their Isa. They want you to be the Messiah. They want you to become their crucified Messiah. All of a sudden now, they was hard-headed and bucking, all this time. But now the matter done got out their control. Now they want to say, take the wheel, brother. They don't even believe, they don't want Jesus to take it because they don't believe Jesus there. Not that one anyway. You got to be the Jesus that take the wheel for. And if you don't do that right there, then you can actually become an adversary, enemy. Oh, you don't care nothing about nothing but yourself. You selfish. Well, all the time I was sitting here trying to be a listening ear and trying to give you advice after you asked me a question for advice. And then when I answer the question, you shut your ears to the advice that I'm trying to give you. What is wrong with you? Either that or you just sit there and fester because you got too much pride to ask somebody for something, informational wise, and sit there and envy the person because they know how to deal with life problems and the storms of life, and they are peaceful when you feel that they should be pulling out their hair. There's some people that'll hate you for that. Some people that have a jealousy of the peace that you have. So they want to stir up the ethers. They want to stir up the ethers and make, contention. You know who you are. They come and they ask you for advice, but they're going to do it their way anyway. So why ask for advice if you knew that you didn't want to receive it? If you knew that you was going to buck and rebel against the information that was being given to you, then why is it necessary for you to ask somebody for advice? That don't make no sense. Misery love company. That's what that means. Misery love company. So, man, we got to get real with ourselves, family. Because that's all this is, this particular drawing, dealing with this ayat. Again, this is the ego, addressing the God mind. This is just like Iblis. Iblis couldn't see the God in, Al-Insan, the man that Allah was making. Just as these priests couldn't see the God or the Muslim within this young seed. That's real talk. Even when it comes to us, if your brother and your sister are looking at you as a mere man and mere woman, like when we up here teaching and it moves them negatively in some type of way, or they become jealous of what it is that is being brought forth, or they become upset and mad because they don't have the attentive mindset to pay attention. This goes back to that same degree of Iblis. It's because you're looking at the man or the woman that is the messenger as opposed to embracing the message. In other words, you're not seeing the deity or hearing the deity speak through that individual, because we know Allah speaks to man through man. It's a lot of Moors that'll say that and quote that. But yet when Allah is speaking to them through their brother or their sister, they still won't take heed to it. Let's make it plain. It don't get no plainer than this. Brother Shaheed, you going too esoteric on me. That's too much symbolic here. Well, we only using the symbolism and the symbology to direct you to the reality. So we talking to you plain now. Oh, you talking to me plain, it hurt. You talking straight to me. You sound like you attacking me now. So which way do you want it? Do you want it hardcore? Or do you want it soft? Because it seems like to me, either way you bring it to one that don't want to receive it, because the mind would never accept what it's unwilling to receive. You understand? So it don't matter whether you give it to the people, either way, you know, they gonna have their opinion, they gonna have their feeling about it, and they gonna feel salty about it. They can talk, I love my prophet, I love Moorish teaching. All the while we know by your action whether you love him or not. We can tell when it come down to doing things that are Moorish. You can say you here and you gonna do what the prophet say. I love this. And if it come down to a Moorish situation, that's when you gonna be tested. Your response to your call of duty. Tell the people everything. You can say what you want to say. You can make your mind fry pork chop. And we don't eat no swine. So, you know, we just want to say gratitude to the family. You know, I think I made my point. I don't continue. I don't have to, you know, use the hammer repetition. You know, I made myself plain. But we see the same ego in these priests that we seen in Iblis. They couldn't see the deity. They couldn't see the Muslim in Yehoshua at that young age. And that's what this chapter is dedicated to. When you talk about the life works of Yehoshua, who made you? Ain't got nothing to do with who made you do it. Who made you? So if we talk about who made you, we ain't talking about this body. Who made you the God man that you are? Who made you the God woman you are, sisters? If you can't see that in each other, if we can't see that in each other, then, well, we already know where the problem lies. You ain't got to worry about asking nobody what's wrong. There it is. You can't see God in each other. Just as these priests couldn't see God in this young God man. Iblis couldn't see God in Al-Insan, the man that was being made. He couldn't see Basharan. He couldn't see the Bashu and Ra. You know, the Ba dealing with the spiritual soul, the Shu, holy breath, and Ra, the light. He couldn't see that because one can only see what was on the manifest. So the life works go beyond what meets the eye. So I just say gratitude, Moorish kin. And at this time, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and open up the flow for our Moorish kin. And I'm going to do something too. Let me see here. So we won't have no problems. I'm going to call in on my, I'm going to use my phone so that I can use it and put it up here so that our family can hear everybody speaking on the call. So give me a second. I'm going to call in on this. And then I'm going to hang up the other phone. Just give me 1 second here. And we're going to let our Moorish kin *6 stay phone.
Welcome and thank you for choosing freeconferencecall.com.
Uh-oh.
Access code or phone number you have dialed. Please enter the meeting password. Muted. The recording has started.
Okay, pardon self, family. Oops, I had to hurry up and hang that up. So, okay, there we go. So everybody should be able to hear everybody now. All right. *6 your phone, Moors. Anybody that would like to speak and give their portion. And the StreamYard link is in the email too if the Moors ain't went to get it yet.
Unmuted.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, the StreamYard link is in the mail for the people that want to get it. Islam Moors, can you hear me now? Can anybody on the conference call hear me? If y'all *6 your phone, you can speak now. Islam, Grand Secretary of State, can you hear me on the conference call?
Islam, you're very low and you have a lot of static more on the conference call side.
Okay, well, I'm more, I don't want to speak from the conference call side myself. I'm just trying to hear the Moors and let them speak so it go through the computer. I ain't going to do a lot of talking. I'm just calling on the Moors right now. I just wanted to know you can hear me.
Oh, praise the Lord, gratitude.
Okay, Islam. So the floor is open. I just wanted to know if you can hear me while we're calling on the Moors, so I know whether we need to
Islam?
draft. Islam, Moor.
Islam, grand man, grand fast.
Yes, sir.
First rise and give all praise to our Father God Allah. I'm Shah Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I'm Divine Minister Habub Bakat Mayadil. Mission Conflict. It's a great class. Honest to our government. Honest to you for hosting this beautiful class. My assistant Grand Sheik. And the topic coming from Ayat 7. The priest replied, my child, you're beside yourself. Do you know more about the law of Allah than all of Israel? This is no place for boys to show their wit. Islam, you know, it's just it's one of those ayats that remind me a lot of my life. Learning different things, and always having that calling. And the calling on one's life, it comes from Allah. And it's the idea from a human perspective of favoritism. And this is how we see it from a human perspective. And I now see it as just the work that we're called to do. From a human perspective, we like to play favorites, and we like to say, we like to put things at levels and say, oh, well, if he's doing his stuff, to what the next person is doing. Let's say, for instance, Yehoshua. Yehoshua, he came and did this, he was healing this, he was healing these ones, and he was demonstrating like this, I need to be demonstrating like Yehoshua. I need to come. And, Yehoshua was getting a lot of shine. He had 20,000, people around him listening to him in this demonstration. And so ones will see that light. And this was happening to Yehoshua even at a young age. And from this ayah, it is just so funny that it came from the priest. It says the priest replied. And during this time, often you'll find these so-called pastors, and the prophet told us that the pastors and the masons would be the last ones to accept this divine movement. And we can see here that a lot of times, often, the priests are the ones that are the gatekeepers to the information from the youth. And they hold themselves up as if they are the law themselves. And it is even said in this ayah, he said, are you beside yourself? Do you know more about the law than all of Israel? And the priest is making himself the whole of Israel, as if he knows the whole of the law. But it's just a blessing that Yehoshua is already caught up in his life works. And Yehoshua has already, put the law in his memory. And it has already been made, a part of every part. And the young Moor is truly dedicated. And so he is not moved by these taunts. His dedication and his sincerity moves him to look past the priest and to get to, his heart's desire, which is the concern about the sin that he sees in his mind in the temple. It's just a measure to just keep us with encouragement, to be encouraged, to push past any type of opposition that we in this topic. And honest to you, Mighty Moore. Peace and love, Morris, America.
And gratitude, brother, for that draw, and praise be to Allah. Grand Secretary of the State, do I still sound choppy over here?
No, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Well, all right. Next more. Islam.
Islam.
All right, Sister Cammy.
Yeah, man, I can barely hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay. Go ahead and come with your measure, sister.
Yes, gratitude. This is Tammy. I'm in this. I rise, honor, and praise to great God Allah. I honor His prophet, Knuckles Wally, officials, citizens, Morris here, there, and everywhere, especially my Morris team. The demonstration you mentioned, the ayat where it said, no, don't go throwing off the list. Something of that nature. When we all took on the commitment to the prophet and this never-ending movement, and got involved in the affairs of men, and we got involved in affairs that usually are associated with men. You have to keep in mind the history of the United States, the territories of the United States. Women were property at one point in time, or treated as if they were property. They had the women's rights movement, just like we had the civil rights movement that came from the Honorable Prophet Noble Ali, the founder of the never-ending movement. The battle of the wit. There's no way, no, this is neither the time nor place to be showing off your wit when you are in the affairs of men. Speak intelligently to them and mean it. Freedom is not love, truth, peace, freedom, justice is not a joke or a game. You also mentioned, well, I think I'm around about 7 minutes. You mentioned the ayat. You talked this evening about some other things that I can think about 4 or 5 additional ones. And we more can talk, we right around the mouth about the prophet. So I'm going to stand out because time is limited. Thank you.
Okay, Islam. Next more. Islam. Sister Curta Bay.
That big Janita Cook debate honors has already been given. Question on the floor. My child, you are beside yourself. Do you know more about the law of Allah than all of Israel? This is no place for boys to show their wit. And Dr. Shahid, I tell you, I really did enjoy this class and listen to you. When we were children coming up, and how Yehoshua was asking questions, and I can remember how we had questions, and just like the priest that tried to basically Sean Yehoshua away because he had questions, and we all, like you said, we all have experienced it, when we ask our elders questions and they may not know. And I know when I was coming up, we would ask the leaders in the church and the preachers and things, we would ask questions and they would get upset with us. And as if we done committed the unforgivable sin. I mean, it was terrible if you would ask them questions, especially if they didn't know. And it wasn't that we was trying to be, trying to be smart or showing off our way. We just wanted to learn. We just wanted to learn, and we wanted to know the truth. And when we're dealing, with our elders, I know even for myself, in dealing with my own children, they would have questions. I know my youngest son, he was always putting me and my pastor on the spot because, they had questions. And a lot of times we didn't have the answer. And I never was one to tell them, to get basically mad at them because they asked me something that I did not know. I would always encourage them, you keep asking your questions, you keep searching, and you go. At that time, I say, God, I would always say, go within yourself and you talk to God. He will give you the answer. Mama don't know all the answers. Pastor don't have all the answers. None of us have all the answers. But your God, the great God, He will give you the answer. And like you were saying, even with our young people today, a lot of them, the reason they are doing what they're doing because they're frustrated with our elders. We don't want to sit down and listen to them and take time to listen to them and see what they have to say. Yeah, and like you say, yeah, all our young people are not bad. We got some good young gods and goddesses out there, but they're not being heard. And we, as the elders, and we who are older, we have to have the love, that love, and show them that love, and have that peace about us, that they would be willing to come and sit down and talk with us, and we be willing to sit down and listen, and let Allah and our holy prophet guide us into what to say to them. And this is just a powerful class, Dr. Shaheed, that you, and this ayat that you brought forth. It's just such a wonderful thing, and especially in these days and times, because like you say, we got some good young people out there, and we can't write them off because because they got a lot of wisdom too. Yeah, they may not be into what we're into, but you have to ask yourself, have you sat down and took time to spend with them and talk to them and see what they got to say? And my quest is, as long as they being respectful to me, I'm not gonna put up with no profanity and none of that. And when you carry yourself, when you know who you are, when you know who you are and you carry yourself in a way, those young people, they won't come at you like that anyway. They won't come at you cursing and going on like that. They'll have respect for you because they'll feel that God, that love in you, and they won't come at you disrespectful. And I just, it's just encouraging. And I like to encourage our young people, sit down and talk to the elders and be patient with them too, because we can, all us can learn from each other. Gratitude, God, man. Wonderful class. Gratitude for letting me share. Peace and love.
Gratitude and peace and love, sister. They have this saying out here now, you got to meet me all over again. And unfortunately, that's what we have to do. We got to get outside of this so-called traditionalism that we have accepted, and the way the youth was when we came up and those who came before us, and realize we living in a new era and time now. And so we have to re-meet, these young brothers and sisters out here, and embrace them where they are and take them where they need to be. So gratitude. We give honors to you, Goddess and Queen, for that drawing. Well, all right. Is there any other more who would like to come forth and exercise their fire? The floor is still open. Star 6 your phone. It's a lot of time left. Islam, more.
Islam, this is Dr. Batu Bay with the Irish Territory. First, I'd like to rise and give my man a praise to Allah, honest to the Prophet, honest to our theocratic government, our royal council, our flag, seal, emblem, our divine constitution, our swift angels, my teeth, systems of life, honest to all the Moors that are standing from the sound of my voice, honest to you, Dr. Shaheed, substantially with this class. And the title is, I think you call my child, you are beside yourself. Do you know more about the law of Allah than all of Israel? There's no place for boys to show their wit. And instantly when I heard this reminded me of when the prophet said the new ones are going to put the old ones down in the back. And that's exactly, even though that preacher said that, he was still being educated by Yehoshua. And Yehoshua was actually teaching. And people think that teaching is just one-sided. Well, a teacher learns a lot from the students as well as the students learn from the teacher. If the teacher is receptive and it's not in the place of, saying that I'm on I have the pedestal because it's better, I done had people tell me that, oh, it sounds like you're preaching. And then I done had people tell me, man, I'm glad that you gave me the information you had. You gave me because of where it led me. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that the more so, just the way that you view, or the way that a person views, like you were saying earlier, about it's really the way that one views the person, giving the message. And a lot of times you can't, Yehoshua and John was probably one of the pure two, I say, that really didn't come from I ain't gonna say come from a tumultuous background, but look at Job, look at Saul, look at all the other ones that was in the Piscean records. They all came from some a bit of scandal, and then was turned by that law that is written in their nature, and it was activated, and therefore brought out something of a higher tone to see, and for them to stand on, and for them to de-emphasize. And so I think that when you're looking at what Yehoshua is, the messages, you never know where that message is come. You never know where our messages come from. We have to be receptive to not, because keep it real, that is idolizing. You know what I'm saying? That is idolatry. When you sit up there and you look at the person and say, oh, I'm not going to take the message from this person because that means you worship in the flesh and not the message. The message, the word, the spirit. And it's, Noble Jolly says, you better use, my word is spirit. That means that when you hear a message, you are supposed to heed the message and not, but again, we have to be receptive to that message. And a lot of times, due to the Negro, the NBC haze and the illusion of what we think is power, our people look like the enemy to our own people. And they don't, and for the majority of our people, the drug is going to say the Western Freemasonry or the church or whatever you want to call it as far as the government, United States government, it's a drug that they're addicted to and they don't know that they're addicted to. And so, I'm 100% agreement that the re-education has to happen, you know what I'm saying? But it's like how do we do it? You know what I'm saying? And it's like we going back to class that you gave a few years ago was reverse engineering. We have to really reverse engineer how we got to the place and then step by step and attack it. You know what I'm saying? In order to get the message out here because the young ones are receptive. It's just, a lot of us, we say, man, I'm not going to be around that because of what they I got to this message in grand measure and Islam people up.
Yes, sir. Islamism. You know, every teachable moment, true teachable moment, is actually when we learn in the process of teaching. You know, and ones would know exactly what we're talking about. When you are really going into the apparatus of teaching and you lose, you know, this body, you go into a state of what we call fana in Tasawwuf or Sufism, to where you separate yourself and you get out the way and you allow the great God Allah to utilize you as an instrument. You know, downloads will come from on high of divine wisdom while you're in the process of teaching. And those who have been teaching a long time know exactly what I'm referring to. You know, this download of information, you know, or revelations that take place while you're in the midst of enlightening your people. You become enlightened. You know, and we can go back to the ayats where it's stated, if you listen closely in the chapter, it said, the master of the great courts felt as though he himself were a child. Huh? And before him stood the master of all the laws. So you see the mindset, you know, of Heliel. And it said within himself, this child is surely a prophet of Allah, sent of Allah. So where all the priests could see is him being a child, you know, Heliel, like the angels in the beginning of creation of Al Insan, the man, just as they prostrated themselves for the man, they heard and they obeyed the great God. That silent voice that spoke within, Heliel obeyed that. So he felt as if he was a child and before him stood the master. He was teachable. This teachable moment in him being a teacher became his teachable moment. And he said, this child is surely a prophet, sent of Allah. He could see greater than what the priests could see. And Heliel sought the parents of the child and asked that Yehoshua might abide with him and learn the precepts of the law and learn the lessons of the temple. So now Heliel, seeing that he was a prophet, he said, well, let me teach him the precepts of the law that he may learn. But Heliel had a greater intent, because after the consent was given, Yehoshua abided in the temple every day, and every day the master learned from Yehoshua the many lessons of higher life. So the master teacher knew who the real master teacher was. And the master teacher looked for consent to only be taught by the master teacher, to learn the higher lessons of life. You know, so this is a powerful demonstration. You know, that's what we're getting at, family. Islam. Star 6 your phone, Moors. Yeah, a lot of our people may overlook that. Islam. We got plenty of time, Moors. Come exercise your 5 now. We don't want no Moors acting like they ain't got no voice up in here. Because we calling on you to come get your measure now. You got plenty of time. You ain't got to rush it. We open the floor up so you can exercise your 5 to let the world know you alive. So don't sit on the line, church mouth quiet. Islam. Is there any more that would like to come forth and exercise their 5? If not, there's so much time on here, we're going to go just start drafting you anyway. So if you sit silent, we're going to draft you anyway. Islam more.
Not just praise Allah, honor to the Holy Prophet, Noble Dwelling, honor to you, National Assistant Grand Sheik, Dr. yourself with the great class, man. Honor to all of those who are 6 young class, and honor to the entire at one. The National Grand Sheik and the National Grand Chairman of March America are empowered to make law and enforce law with the system of the Prophet and the Grand Bible of March America. And the National Grand Sheik and the National Grand Chairman are empowered to make law and enforce law with the system of the Prophet and the Grand Bible of March America. And the National Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs.
Islam. Yeah, the subject matter, it's no question on the floor. But we draw it from chapter 6, in the life works of Yehoshua at the age of 10 years, and we draw it from actually ayat 7, where it states, the priest replied, my child, you are beside yourself. Do you know more about the law of Allah than all of Israel? This is no place for boys to show their wit. Islam.
Well, praise Allah. Praise Allah. Anta the Prophet of the Glory. You know, as always, the thing that hit me is who made you? Allah, the great God of the universe. And that is, with my portion of understanding, I don't make excuses for anything. But when that's like here in the Martian American government, sometimes as time has passed through the years, and even sometime this year, through the year, sometimes we do get beside ourselves. I'm not saying I have or anyone have, but this has happened to many brothers and sisters because of not listening and not obeying the word of our prophet. If the prophet tells you that you're not gonna make it through unless he's at the head, and when you get beside yourself, assuming something or thinking something that is not true when you haven't studied to hear the truth or listen for the truth or have not been paying attention or not been going within yourself to have a patient, a balance to be able to hear what it is that the ear needs to hear. And then we get lost. We get lost within our own doorstep because we're not paying attention. And you take for a perfect example tonight, we all have some of us sometimes have good nights, bad nights, or what have you. And I try to hear what I can hear. And I always try to get an understanding. And sometimes I have to wait a little later to get an understanding. I don't attack anything or criticize anything. I try to get a clear understanding of it. Even if I have to pick my phone up and call the brothers and ask them, a few questions so that I can play catch up. And I don't try to, impress anyone, especially myself. I focus on fixing myself. And I try to make sure that I'm obeying the law and don't get beside myself or where I'm being disrespectful to my officials or anything. Because if you ask me a question, I'm gonna give you the truth. And that's why I think it's so important that we continue to focus on listening and be thinking at the same time. And some of these errors come down on some of us sometimes, where we may have, some of us may go through some different changes for us to make, but at the same time, some of us, we have to kind of catch up a little bit later. And see that, to me, that's still doing the proper work when you may not hear or understand something, or you may not have the best eyesight in the world, but the thing of it is that you keep doing for the sake of doing. Because, you're going to have good days. You're going to have some days that you're going to be a little lack of some things, and some days you're not going to have any issue whatsoever. Just give me another minute. But it's about being faithful. And when you're being faithful, you listen. And it's about thinking. And when you're thinking, you're keeping your deep closed so that you can focus on what is being said and that you can get a measure out of it. And, it's just, I don't look for excuses on anything. I don't look for excuses on anything. All I do is try to get the best I can within myself, to the best I can within myself, so that I can call and let them know what's going on. And I'm able to understand the lesson much better. And this is what has happened with me, not what has happened to me, and this is how I'm able to get a lot of my class and get better understanding, and being able to give measures and being able to do class because of the system of those who is not being selfish, and the system of those who truly demonstrate love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And then the last few words, if you're listening, then you're able to think. But if you think that you know something that you don't know, then this is when you're out of law, because you're not following, you're not obeying what the prophet said. So this is why it's so important that we are all remain as one, as a family. And that's my portion, brother. My best understanding. Islam and peace.
And Islam and peace for the drawing, brother. We give honors to you for that. You know, and we say gratitude for that drawing. You know, our beloved sister, Cena Renee, did a measure up here on our YouTube platform. And we have it posted in our broadcast where she said, my opinion on the youth is, as an adult, I must meet them where they are and present myself as some she's saying, I think someone that can be trusted and willing to listen more than preach. And she want to hold their attention. And that's most definitely the key. We have to be able to listen. You know, it's twice as much as we speak. You know, that way we know that we are meeting the needs of the people. You know, and this is one of the things that a lot of times, to be honest with you, this is the reason why youth organizations are more successful in more cases than we are in getting the ears of our people, because they right there with them in the condition that they are, at least. You know, and they end up being those who they end up lending their ears. Like even with the Nation of Gods and Earth with our brother Clarence 13X, the 5%ers, you know, he was more successful in going out and get the people at the time than the Nation of Islam. You know, when he went and took what was being taught as secret lessons at one time and went and introduced it to the youth, you know, and brought it to their attention, you know, and put it out there in such a way that they could actually digest it on their level, so to speak. So we have to come up with a methodology on how to teach the people, you know, and reach them, so to speak. You know, you have to make it appealing, just as any recipe would be. When somebody is out there trying to make up different methods of cooking, everybody can cook, but you know, it is your recipe that brings about the desired effect, to where that recipe becomes something that is demanded by the people. You know, everybody, for example, you know, we don't deal with meat in that aspect, but everybody know how to fry chicken. Some people bake chicken. I'm just using an example. Some people barbecue chicken, you know, and everybody got their perks on how to do that. And some people like that. You know, some people know how to prepare the vegan dish. You know, some people know how to bring it forth, you know, tofu, you know, in many different ways, or whatever the case may be. You know, it's the same tofu, but it's your preparation and the ingredients that you put in that particular recipe that cause people to want to consume it. It becomes a household product, so to speak. You know, it can be smoothies. You know, the way you make your smoothies, some people put sugar in them. Some people know how to make it sugarless and deal with natural sugars, but bringing about the proper balance of what they bring as an admixture, you know, with natural sugars, they are able to bring forth a tasteful effect. You know, and I mean, we can go in many different areas with this right here. You know, we can have people that like to paint cars. Some people know how to paint cars as they are, and then some people know how to use the methodology of certain amounts of what they call a clear coat. You know, and how many coats of clear they're going to put on the paint that's going to make the paint, you know, be more vibrant, so to speak. The way that they put their base coat on there, how they mix it in to make it go chameleon, and change colors. And, it's all about the way that you put your ingredients, into the measure when it comes to dealing with utilizing your knowledge. That's all I'm saying. Even when it comes to dressing, some people dress a particular way, casual. Some people know how to bring about an elite style of dressing and, mix it in, so to speak, with the casual dress to where they make what is normally an elite style become a little bit more acceptable to those who are not willing to go all the way extreme in the elite style. So they have the perfect balance between casual and so forth. Some people can do a perfect blend between urban and casual. It's not about what's being utilized, because ain't nothing new under the sun. It's about your ingredients and what it is that you have been given to exercise your talents to demonstrate. And it's the same with the truth. It's the same truth being spoken, but it's your delivery that will allow those who are listening to be receptive of it. So we got to be able to speak the language of many different ages. All right, Islam. Next more. Islam more.
Islam Grand Class, Assistant National Grand Chief. This is Sean Washington Bay from the Michigan Territory. I up and rise and give all praise to the great God Allah. I give all honors to Noble Dry Lee, the last prophet of all time. I give all honors to the spirit credit voice government, to all the 12 departments, from the National Secretary of State, the Assistant National Secretary of State, the National Chairman, Assistant National Grand Chairman, the Michigan Territory, the General Consulate, everybody on this class tonight. It's a grand class. I don't got that much time. I seen that today when we was talking about, rejecting knowledge. This Muslim brother, he's passing his audio out, and I was like, I ain't no Muslim, I'm a Muslim. He's talking about Islamism, and he gave it to the unconscious Asiatic war, and 10 minutes later, he said he was already saved. I was like, damn, I've been seeing that today. We talking about this. They reject knowledge. I didn't tell I took it. I didn't say, man, you're not a Moor. I'm not going to reject your knowledge. Because that Islamism, and I was saying, came for us. He's the father of Islam, And, the prophet bring it over here to the West. He's the first one who came over here. Not these people. Now everybody thinking that's a pill. They're over there across the Atlantis. The Arabians, and Prophet Muhammad, we had our prophet over here. He was so kissed though. He was so kissed like, but they Moors over there, but we had our prophet over here. And that Quran, that curate, that's formed us, and I say, wow, you just talking about it, and I see the brother, and I know the brother, I've been knowing him since like 2009. He said he was already saying it was confusion. It was inside the gym building, Space in Canada. And I go up in there, relax, sit down for a minute, study, study Constitution, and that's why we got to keep it moving out here. We can't just, I just don't go there and say, hey, you want to come, hey, join this Moorish American democratic government, claim your pre-national name. I just put that message out there, we messengers, and Muslims, they subject to Muslims. They are Moors, but the true religion, is Muslim. Grant, big
In Islam, I want to say this here, grand man. We give honors to you for the measure. But when it come down to dealing with the teaching, what we got to understand is that there are different degrees of unfoldment when it comes to the teaching. So it's not so much, of a difference, or distinction between the teaching. There are just different degrees of understanding where one is along the way. We got to remember, Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, when I was Muhammad, you see what I'm saying? And when he said that, this is letting you know, just as he was Yehoshua over 2,000 years ago, he was also Muhammad over 1,400 years ago, because we're dealing with the same spirit of the truth. Now, it has to do more with where one is along the way and how they have received the truth. The truth is always one, but they wasn't under the conditions that we under now. But that doesn't make that teaching any lesser in its ability to be able to transform people, because we have to look at it, and truth be told, we got people that are coming into that teaching under that guidance, so to speak. But we know what was specifically sent to us, and so when we look at the truth, we want to look at it as one, and also understand when the prophet was raising us up over here, by the same token, he being Muhammad, he raising them up through that teaching there. It's the same teaching. When we get into the concept of reincarnation, or we deal with the wheel of Dharma. You see what I'm saying? So we just want our people to be able to see that as well, just like with Yehoshua. A lot of our people don't know until we tell them that they following the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Yehoshua will come again. So we letting them know, what the real measure is. So even when Allah abrogates a truth, he doesn't cast off what he sent to a people. He just gives them what was tailor-made for them during that particular time. And the message as it came to the Arabs is what they needed during that time. You understand? And what we needed came to us from our prophet during our time, but it doesn't make that message that they receive any lesser, because we draw from the Grand Quran as well. You understand? Allah revealed that. There's no getting outside of that and beyond that. Only thing we know that when we get into translations and interpretation, that's what men come up with. But as far as the original book, we can never deny that Allah revealed that book to that particular prophet, because we will be denying prophethood. So we want to be careful when we get into the distinctions that we make, and then refer to what the prophet said. The prophet said, when I was Muhammad. You see what I'm saying? And we already know when is referred to a time in the past. You see, he was Muhammad at a time, but he Prophet Noble Drew Ali now, coming in the same spirit. So we give honors to your grand man for that drawing, and gratitude to you for that measure. Islam, because also when it comes to dealing with that, it can hinder us in the way that we deliver our message to people if we're not careful. Because we can put that in the same sense of the subject matter. Where we may be looking at somebody and they may be a child and they understanding, because they don't understand the Moorish doctrine, but they might be a Muslim. And we looking at them like, do you think you know more about Allah than the Moorish Americans? This is no place for the Muslims to show their wit. Same thing with the Hebrew Israelites. You see what I'm saying? Just because they're Hebrew Israelites, we gonna scold them. You beside yourself. Do you think you know more than the Moorish Americans? About the law? What you doing over here trying to show your wits? See, this thing get deep when we understand what's really being said. So gratitude more for your measure. We give honors to you, and we say Islamism without the schism. Peace and love. Well, all right. At this time, we're going to go forth and call forth our officials, because the time is upon us. And we're going to call on Sister Alseta Moon El. Islam, you there, goddess and queen? Well, all right. We know the sisters about our Father's business. Praise be to Allah. Let us call forth our National Grand Mufti, Dr. Khonshu Ma'ak Heru Bey. Islam, you there, grand man? Well, okay, we know our National Grand Mufti is most definitely about our Father's business as well. So that brings us up to calling on our Grand National Secretary of the State, Sister Hatshepsut Rakat Ma'at and Pooh, Tutankhamun Bay. And that give you lead way to swing that scimitar as long as you want.
Can you hear me, Dr. Shaheed?
Oh yeah, loud and clear with divine ears. I wish the ethers of a member would.
Powerful, powerful class. Islam Morrison. First of all, in rise to all praises to our Father God Allah. Giving honor to our prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet of these days and time. Giving honor to our Moorish American government, all of our officials, staff, chief angels, muftis, divine ministers, most especially our Moorish heads. Giving honor to all those Moors that spoke before me, all those Moors that will speak after me. Giving a special honor to our National Assistant Grand Chief of Moorish America, Dr. Shedo Wamenti and Mohamed Cheptuel, for opening our meeting according to law and also hosting a grand Moorish perspective class this evening. We want to give honor to our National Assistant Grand Secretary of State, Dr. Dendra Nia Kirkabay, for taking registration and reading our subject chapter for the week. Giving honor to Act 1, to our family online, also on our conference call, and giving honor to all those Moors that spoke before me and all those Moors that will speak after me. Dr. Shaheed, I tell you, this has been such a powerful, very elevating class as always. Our subject matter coming from Ayah 7 of our subject chapter for the week. The priest replied, "My child, you are beside yourself. Do you know more about the law of Allah than all of Israel? This is no place for boys to show their wit." And I tell you, when we were looking at this special ayah, and you were speaking about one to be in the form of a child on a physical level, but still with the God state within as far as one's comprehension level. And we know we've often termed, when children have come on and manifest, and we look at the particular spirit, and we can recognize that, this is an old soul or return of the ancient ones because of the particular character, even at the stage of infancy. And so it is definitely imperative for us to be able to not try to put the light out when it comes down to, as the prophet states, demonstrating the maxims of truth, even when it comes down to the child being carried in the womb, because this is a spirit and a part of the great God Allah. And so we want to encourage that spirit of freedom and independence and that quest for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding within our children. That's on a manifest level, but also those we come in contact with. And it's up to us to recognize what our responsibilities and duties are. And on the other side of the coin, in reference to, because I was also identifying with what Dr. Dender brought forth in the Arab time that I came up, he better not question anything. Child has to be seen and not heard and things of that nature. And so we have to be careful, even when it comes down to those that are considered children or on a manifest level, even those that have reached the level or stage of adulthood that may not be familiar with more science or what have you. We've got to be careful not to carry that particular chain, dragging that with that mindset and filtered in how we demonstrate, because we're doing a disservice not only to that particular soul, but also to ourselves, because we don't know what vehicle Allah will use to deliver that a special message. And so I had to do a paradigm shift, even from the level of being a grandparent, even a parent, and recognizing the fact that this is a spirit and a part of the great God Allah, and being able to hear, without wanting to demonstrate from a harsh level of because I said so or what have you. So that also deals with the study of the self to make sure that we are not imposing those children and with those who we come in contact with. You spoke about the ego and vanity and things of that nature. So that was a powerful measure for me as well. And I can also recall early in Moorish science as a sister, going in and out of institutions or speaking before Moorish kin throughout the earth. Well, on this plane of things made manifest, sometimes one came in contact with audiences that may have come through other ideologies, but saw the sister as something that needed to sit in the corner, shut up, or things of that nature. And so we have to have love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice out front, because this keeps us fortified in recognizing the fact that Allah speaks to man through man and also through woman, and sometimes we have to demonstrate that special lesson as well. Whether it's accepted or not, we still drop the seed and tarry not. But it should all pivot around love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Because even in different ideologies or levels of understanding and thought, you can't fake love divine. So when there's a love there, then there's going to be an open pathway for communication and reciprocal help and mutual obligation. So, for me, the bottom line is dealing with the study of the self, and when you were speaking about it, it's a science to eating. It's a science to, dealing with peptide therapy and things of that nature. This is why we have to continue to study ourselves, until we are unfolded into the God state. And so the other aspect is we encourage our people to, if they see a young person that is knowledgeable and has the will to want to teach a class or do a project or whatever, this is what we need to encourage, so that they are used to, demonstrating in the role of leadership, learning how to speak in front of others and things of that nature. And we definitely don't want to be a nation that devours our youth, because I've seen several instances in which you provide opportunities for the youth to interact and, deal with various learning modalities, and invariably you're going to have some with the egotistical mindset that wants to try to crush the youth, try to put the light out for whatever negative reason that's going on within their psyche. So, as Dr. Bonte Bay was speaking, it's part of our duty as well to put security on that which we love. And these are the future guys of the nation. So we also have to bear in mind that we have got to be open to knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, no matter who the message is sent through. So it's just been a grand class, Dr. Shaheed. Much gratitude to you for these grand lessons. And I really enjoyed how you were speaking about making it applicable, dealing with the reality in this day and time, in reference to no matter what modality that comes up, all truth is one. So gratitude more for calling me forth. Much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin. That's all.
Islamism Grand National Secretary of the State. Yeah, we give honors to you for that drawing. And the Prophet brought us the greatest thing that he could have brought us when it comes to the Circle 7, because whether we know it or not, he gave us a pathway by leaving his footsteps clearly cut, to where we not only see the time when he became Yehoshua come again, or Muhammad come again, or even in the extent of being an enlightened Buddha, Krishna and Confucius. When we read, these teachings and we look at his footprints, if we have been guided by them, then we should be able to see the Prophet and everything he taught and everything he brought throughout these highways and byways. That's what the 4 quadrants represent, and so that would apply here. And so, yeah, we have to be careful, because some of our people get caught up in titles and labels, and then they become blinded by the truth that's being spoken of. Oh, he's a this over here, he that. They know the Prophet is still present. We just got to listen to that silent voice that speak within, because we at this level, we don't see, those divisions. We only see one truth, And so we give honors to Act 1 and the chairman for giving us charts such as Islamism without the schism. Speaking on our chairman, let him come on in here so he can tell you, because I know he pumped up behind this one right here. Man, we talking about who made you too and who didn't make you do it. Islam, where you at, Grand National Chairman, Dr. Akin Acton Pert M. Heru, Toot the Common Bay?
Can you hear me?
Man, loud and clear with divine ears, the ether's vibrating. I wish a member would.
Man, you took the word out of my mouth. I wish a member would. Let me give praise to Allah and honor to the Prophet and the Ali. I sent much honor to the Prophet, the last Prophet these days and time that was sent from Allah and brought us everything that it takes for us to save a nation. Our own government, divine constitution of prayer, holy covenant, warnings, flag, emblem, seals, everything. More, we are just so blessed. It's now time to get on board. Get on the front line and do what it is you're supposed to do. It's just an honor and a blessing to be able to say who made you. It's an honor and a blessing to know that you have the Grand Master seal and emblem, that you are perfected. It's a wonderful thing, Lord. I'm still, it's a powerful class, man. I'm so pumped up. More, we love you. Islamism without a schedule.
And we love you too, Grand Man. Most definitely. Islamism without the schism. Gratitude, Act 1 in the tribe of endurance. Man, when I tell you, if we can't get it here, we can't get it nowhere else. There ain't nobody on the planet. And we don't say that because we here in the Moorish American government, but trust me, you ain't getting these teachings the way that we bringing them to our people. We speaking a whole nother language because we speaking the language of more God than we are mere men and women. So that's our dialect, family. Not only do we give you the glory of our past history and our story as opposed to his story, but we also are giving it to you current and present. So at this time, speaking of what's current and present, let us call on the current and present grandest and national assistant grand sheik of Moorish America, Dr. Serapis Amin Rael. Islam, you there, grand man? I know you got something to bring forth here from the illustrious state of Indiana. If you're speaking sheik, we can't hear you. Islam, can you see our National Grand Sheik on the board, Grand National Secretary of State?
Islam, Dr. Shahid, yeah, you're kind of mute on the conference call side. He did drop off. I expect him to come back on.
Okay.
Gratitude.
Okay, well, we're going to wait on our sheik. Can you hear me clearly on the conference call side now, Grand Secretary of the State?
No, sir. Only on StreamYard.
Okay, so you can hear me better on StreamYard than on the our phone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, what about now, Grand National Secretary of the State? Is that better?
No, sir. Still can't hear you on the conference call side.
Okay. Okay, so it might be a signal that's coming through that's in Act 1 then. Can any other Moors hear me as well, clearly?
I don't know about the rest of it. But I'm not on the panel, though.
Right, yeah, I know you ain't on the panel. And I can hear a static coming from your side, but it's coming from everybody's phone. Everybody that spoke, there's a static coming in through this line. So can any other more hear me on the conference call as well?
Okay, gratitude.
So we can see what the status of the line are. Divine ministers, can y'all *6 and let us know? Can you be heard? I mean, can you hear me?
Grand Sheik just checked back in.
Okay. Okay, Islam, can you hear me clearly, Sheik? Okay, gratitude. Yes, sir. We hear you clear.
Man, we rise, as we do always, giving a lot of praise, adoration, thanksgiving, and glory, and the prophet of our league was manifesting in the flesh and giving us our story. Praise the Lord, honor the prophet, honor to our sisters, like say, as well as our grandmother, assistant grandmother, grandmother, of course, band minister, minister to life, royal council system, sympathizing and sports. I mean, this is the, oh, we have Kevin said, yes, sir. It has been a grand revelation. I like the council. I love, well, one, sitting in form of council. And the youngster showed up, and there wasn't no, like a put down from the council. They got a drawing off the debate, and he set it out where even wise, grain, to the rest of what Allah had to give. And they just got it going off of the baby, and he set out a measure about why he was on earth, and here on earth, and who he was, and who they are. And this is what I like tonight that was set out before the ones that are here on this earth at the present, because we have been brought here for a job, and it is that time, Lord, the chairman, Sister Grand, she also wanted to our chairman, not been for our chairman, where would we be? We was going to say, well, they were going to send someone. You can't be sure of that, but you are certain that he sent someone, but that one's in the form of our chairman. Yes, sir. We brought it, and he told us in the sense of who our brother was. This is the one we looked at. This is the one we looked for. While we establishing ourselves here on earth for the mission that we got to do. And so this is what I thought my Sister Grand Sheik was talking about. You see, this bringing us to the council that would become babies. And these elders are the elders, the elders don't like the elder is the council, and they will become babies. And the infant will take over and give them the left. And when the infant got through, they don't perceive it as an attack on their democracy. They see it as a blessing. And this is how we should examine ourselves and notice that our brother man has come amongst us, and our brother man has given us the signs. least needed. And if I inform all sisters, we must end all radical agitation while they're working on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop blasting cars of Europeans because it's confusion. Remember, your car is for your salvation. Raise your baby daughters to their consequence. We offer love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice and will take its course. Any citizen groups or religious towards the government or the power that violate the divine covenant. The remorse movement will receive a reward from the unjust. All true was real and must obey the laws laid down to them by the prophet. Lose confidence in the prophet. The sheep turning in the car to study. He's going to tell him to stay and return to the state where out of God's boundary. This is always the divine movement. And the prophet knows duality that the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet therefore turned out to divine to all Moorish Americans to do their part protecting the prophet and the government. So that every last movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem the people from their sinful ways. By all the prophet knows duality, divine warning, supreme laws now, and will be enforced by the said government thereby. Islam, Islam, Islam. You are the children of one father, glad to put by his care, and the best of one mother has given you son. Fathers, their life is our brothers. That peace and happiness make well in our Father's house. And when you separate in the world, remember the relation you find in the love and unity, and to turn out a stranger for their own blood. If our brothers in their birth to assist them, if our sisters in come to forsake or not. So shall the fortune of our Father, till we can support this whole race, and it shall be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This means the 50 clothes according to Act 2 of our divine constitution, and love, truth, peace, and justice. Go in peace, more. Long live Moorish America. Peace. Great class, National Sisters Channel. Great class. Love all you more. Peace, love all you more. Love all you more. Love you, love you, Islam, great class, more love. Islam, don't get more. Don't get love. Being recorded.
In Islam, Moors, we give honors to all of you. Islam, we give honors to all of you who came forth with your contributions. You know, the greatest and the best is yet to come. And we give honors to all of our family that checked in out there. Y'all Moors, keep telling the people the truth. And also the Moors that's been checking in, y'all more than welcome to reach out to us if y'all looking forward to becoming part and parcel of the Moorish American government, you know, and establishing your own consulate in the state that you're in. You know, reach out to us, you know what I mean, so we can get you aboard and we can do this work together. You know, give honors to our family, the NATO Bosco, you know, from the London territory, you know, always checking in faithfully. Honors to our London family. Born Dog, want to give honors to Creator Inspired, Charles Royale, Cena Renee, Kamaat, you know, and Donnie Dwight, and also our beloved brother Marquis Sale. So gratitude, family. We'll see you in the next session. And Islamism, without the schism, there's still more wisdom to be learned. Peace and love. We love you. Islam.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.